a field somewhere in Detroit. As you saw, if you're watching some basketball last night, listen, you just can't ask Kyrie Irving and James Harden, if Kevin Durant's not there, to be able to handle the duo of Jeremy Grant and a Plumlee brother. So, of course, the Nets allowed 120 plus because that's what the Nets do. And Kyrie had some thoughts after the game about what is going wrong with the Nets and what they can do to fix it.
I don't think that we go out every single day of our lives and sacrifice the time in order to be average at anything. I know you don't wake up. I know no one here on this call wakes up to be average at anything that they do. And we look very average, and we have the talent that the eye test presents that we should be dominating. We have the experience in terms of some of our guys that have been through certain things, circumstances to be able to battle through. And we're dealing with a lot of the reality that we're putting this together on the fly.
So here's the thing. And Kyrie actually had a pretty thoughtful press conference. There was at one point he was like, we're up against the refs. We're up against guys being pulled out due to COVID. We're on national TV too much. A little excuse making, but most of it was pretty thoughtful. But here's what Kyrie's missing. And here's what I think the majority of my colleagues in the national media are missing. They don't have the personnel. They are not a great team. They are not wildly underachieving. They might be slightly underachieving, but you know who the Brooklyn Nets are? An unbelievable, unstoppable, make-it-take-it team. If this was the summer and you're on one of those great blacktops in Brooklyn over by Barclays or in my neighborhood in Harlem, you're up at Rucker, the Nets would never leave the court. Our best three against your best three, make it, take it. They're going to probably never have to play defense. And the NBA's made a lot of changes over the last few years. Going to a make it, take it format, I don't see being in the cards. And if that's the case, they're sunk. And they were sunk before the Harden trade, and the Harden trade didn't help them. Because offense was never going to be their problem. I know this montage we're showing you is of missed jump shots, but that's not the issue. The issue is they were never going to be able to guard anybody, and they are proving they can't guard anybody. At this point, you know the stats. Over the last 30 years, the only NBA champion that was outside of the top 11 defensively was the 0-1 Lakers, which was a team that knew they could sleepwalk through the regular season because they had peak, prime, unstoppable Shaq and nearing his peak, Kobe Bryant. One of the greatest teams ever. Every other champion has been in the top 11 defensively. The Nets are 27th. They don't have, and it's not a try-hard issue. It's a personnel issue. And, you read that, the Nets, they might want to acquire Kevin Love. I love Kevin Love. That ain't going to help the problem, fellas. They're like, last night James Harden got mad at DeAndre Jordan. For what? He's DeAndre Jordan, and it's 2021. You could do a 5-minute highlight reel of Kyrie Irving allowing layups and getting beat. Guys, he's Kyrie Irving. That's what he does. You have one plus defender in your rotation, Kevin Durant. And Josh Everly pointed this out on Twitter, and it's a really interesting point, and he's right. The Nets have one of the 5 greatest scorers in NBA history. And what they need from him is rim protection. What they need from him is lockdown defense. What they need from Kevin Durant is not scoring, which is what he does as well as nearly anyone in the history of the league. Because while James Harden is not the defender he was made out to be in Vine videos 6 years ago in Houston, the pendulum swung too far in the other direction where it's like, well, look at his deflections and blocks. James is actually a really good defender. No, he's not. He is a specifically good post defender because of his strength. But on the ball and off the ball defense, on the ball, he's average at best. Off the ball, he's bad. Kyrie is bad at everything defensively. Joe Harris is a bad defensive player. Jared Allen is a very good defensive player. He don't play there anymore. DeAndre Jordan, with respect, is approaching fossilization. The Nets are trying to do something that has never been done. You cannot go into the playoffs saying we're going to beat you 130, 128. And if you just glance at their schedule, points allowed, 124, 122, 123, 120, 149, 125, 128, 85 against the makeshift Heat, 124, 125, 147, 123. That's 120 plus with a couple 140-point games in every single game, points allowed, except for one over the last month. It's not about try hard. It's about personnel. And it was the concern when they traded for Harden. Now, he wasn't available, and I mentioned Tim Bontemps earlier. He floated this months ago. The guy they should have been trying to trade for is Rudy Gobert. What they need is an actual defensive presence. Right now, if they could trade Kyrie Irving for Kyle Lowry straight up, they would be demonstrably better. But they can't, and they're not going to. And by the way, well, then it's on the coaches. Okay, so Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni are going to go to their well of experience on how to build great defenses. Guys, the Nets aren't underachieving. They're a poorly built team.